Welcome to The Connecting Place with Andrea Fabry, making the connection between health and your environment. Now, here's your host, Andrea Fabry.
Well, today we're going to talk about the benefit of spending time outdoors. A benefit I think we take for granted and we no longer really know is there. What nature can do for the brain and our overall health, and how I've benefited from being outside intentionally. And with me is my trusted sidekick, my husband, Chris.
Is that my new title? Trusted sidekick. Hi, how you doing, Andrea?
I'm good, thank you.
Great to be with you. Okay, so I have been able to watch you become an outdoor kind of person. Although, you know, I got to be honest, you've always been. You loved to play tennis. You liked photography. You were outside, backpacked across Europe when you got out of college. So this is not something foreign to you, right?
No, but as technology increased, well, just our whole lifestyle, I guess I got married, maybe that.
So it's my fault.
Yeah. Just since the 80s, 90s, and then early 2000s, I just noticed that I just gradually altered that without even realizing. I still enjoyed hiking, but less and less I was drawn to the outdoors.
Yeah. So when we moved our family from Colorado to Arizona, that was really kind of the impetus for that was our health problem, but naturally you moved outside.
Well, that was part of my instinct, I think, at that time. We did leave everything in our house in 2008. It's a story that's online and documented. But I didn't expect everything about our lifestyle to change, but I could tell there was this deep desire to be outside, and in Colorado the weather is beautiful. There's no reason you can't be outdoors all year, but it was cold, it was snowy. I didn't feel like I could get my kids outside as easily, as it was mostly about the kids. I got to get them outside. I've got to get that all year exposure to the sun, or at least that's what I thought at the time. So that was a huge reason we came to Arizona in the middle of winter, just for a few months at that time. Let's just get us outside for a few months, and a few months turned into 8 years before we knew it. But yes, that did start me down this road.
As time went on, then you were drawn more indoors. Well,
I started blogging, and I noticed that I started to take the weather for granted. And of course, the summer came in Arizona, and I had a hard time being motivated to be outside. And then swimming, the chlorine in the water. There were so many reasons to be inside, and this sort of went on for the next 4 or 5 years. Now, during that time, we did a lot of outdoor activities as a family, but my kids were getting older. They were being more drawn to the computer and technology. It all happened so fast. It's a blur. I didn't even notice that even when I went outside, I had headphones on, sunglasses, hats, nothing wrong with any of that. It's just that I was increasingly, personally disconnected from being outside and very, very drawn to my computer. In the last couple of years, the more I've learned about health, the more I've learned about the natural radiation, levels of radiation outdoors as opposed to our devices and all of the wireless radiation, and as well as indoor air quality, understanding that outdoor air is just a gift. And when we can breathe, especially mountain air or ocean air, and we all know this from our experience, so we can tell. We can't see the radiation or the phytochemicals in the trees or any of that. We can't see it, but we feel the effects, because most of us would say, I feel better when I'm outside, or when I'm in the mountains or by the ocean. Now, sometimes the pollen bothers us, or we have sensitivities to the outdoors, and you have to look at that. But overall, I think we all intuitively know outside air is good for us. But our lifestyle is very much indoors, and we get in cars, and we go to the store, and we get in those fluorescent lights, and then we go to work, and we're in an office, and then we come home and we shut our windows, either because it's hot or cold, and we turn on whatever we need to keep the air comfortable, and we live that way. And as the last couple of years have gone on, I realized I can't just expect that I'll happily spend time outdoors. In fact, I remember somebody saying to me that a big part of his recovery from electro hypersensitivity was he said, I spend 2 hours outside every day, even if I'm just staring outside, to get the impact of natural light and all of what the earth and nature offers us. And that was very inspiring to me. And I thought, well, maybe I could do 2 hours. 2 hours at the time seemed like a lot. And then over time, 20 minutes became 30 minutes, I started walking our dog further every morning and started to realize that the time started to go faster. But honestly, when I first started to spend time outside, it felt long. And I just wanted to get back inside where I was comfortable. The computer is a huge magnet to us, and it hits part of our brain that tells us we need more information, we need more social media. There's more. And before you know it, you've spent 3-4 hours there. And then we're uncomfortable being outside.
Yeah, the kids will come in and they'll say, if I'm in the living room, where's mom? Where's mom? Outside. Just look outside. You can find her back there with the chickens. So have had this bird's eye view too of you talking on the phone with people around the country who are going through some kind of struggle. A lot of times it's mold that they've been exposed, and they're finding that being outside is helping them.
Well, this is so intuitive, and we can do all the lab tests we want on our bodies to determine what is making me sick and why am I feeling this fatigued and this inflamed and have this many symptoms and this much pain. And we can get lab tests to validate that, or we can know something that when you pull back is rather obvious, and that is indoor environments do injure us. And yes, I do deal in the area of toxic mold quite a bit, and I see so many people who are injured by an indoor environment to the point where they're debilitated, and being indoors is nearly impossible. And they are the ones that, because of the extreme health issue that they have, are drawn to an extreme radical lifestyle change. And Hippocrates said extreme disease requires extreme measures. Well, some of our health issues, chronic inflammatory health issues that lead to so much fatigue and pain and suffering, require something extreme. And it makes sense that the more outdoor time, or in fact living outdoors, and many of them are drawn to camp. And even that can be difficult to accommodate, but typically you can find a way to live outside. You have to really think outside the box. So yes, I have talked to many people and, stayed connected with them for years and heard so many of them say, a year ago I was debilitated, today I can go hiking. A year ago I couldn't get out of bed. Today I can go for a long walk. It's because, and I talked to a mom of 6 children, and they were injured by a toxic mold exposure in their home in the Midwest. She moved out west where she could be outside all year long and camped with those 6 small children. And she called me recently and said, Andrea, I don't know how to tell people this. It's hard. It's really hard to make it work outside, but we have, and you get a routine. And she said, I can't tell you how much better I feel, and I see it in the kids. And she said, the sun, what the sun has done for us in the outdoor air, I can't begin to describe. And I have heard that many times over. And this is the story of a lot of recoverers, survivors of toxic mold, is pristine air. Getting out.
So how do you do this? I assume that gardening is one of those things that you do?
Well, looking back, and we had 9 children, and they weren't small. They were, we both of us in your work. I mean, looking back, I think we would have recovered more quickly had we done something radical like that. So I do always encourage people who are struggling to think outside that box. For us, we found a safe enough indoor environment in Arizona, and we're able to slowly build back our immune systems. And not fully, I wouldn't say, oh, it's as if it never happened, but I don't think anymore about my health every day, or how am I, or any of that, or what's going to happen if I go into this store and I smell chemicals. That's not on my radar anymore. So what I've had to do is intentionally spend this time outside, even if it's in the middle of winter. And this is just, I'm imagining, because we do live in Arizona. But 10 minutes outside of breathing that cold air, who knows what that can do. So it doesn't have to be extended lengths of time. But for me, I'm going for at least 2 hours, no matter the weather. And so what has helped me is to find reasons to be outside. I'm not one who just sits outside because I'm thinking of all the things I need to do. If I have something outside, then I'm more drawn there. And once I'm outdoors, it's hard to get me in. So gardening is huge, and who hasn't felt that? Now, I'm not an avid gardener. I don't love to grow food necessarily. I've learned the hard way that I need to do what brings me joy in terms of gardening. And since I'm not necessarily the best or most experienced, and I don't devote a lot of time to research to find out how to grow all of my own food, I'm grateful for farmers who do and farmers markets. I've found that I absolutely love some herbs and I love flowers, and that keeps me outside. I love succulent plants. I have a fairy garden in the front that is just so delightful to look at and really fun to kind of clean up and maintain. And that's not, everybody's thing, but that's one thing that has definitely helped me spend time outside.
And has different colored rock and different kinds of plants and those types of things. I also know that you have some buckets, water buckets out
Tubs,
back. Tubs, yep. Thank you.
Yep.
What's that for?
The other thing that has really drawn me outside is doing my laundry. And those who camp, if they don't have a laundromat nearby, and maybe a lot of camping places do, so not everybody has to do this. And I'm shocked that this is so fun for me. And this was the impetus of my daughter, who's in her 20s. And she said, Mom, you should use a washboard and wash these clothes outside. And she showed me how the stains came right out with a washboard and just a little Castile soap. And wow, that's really, I was very drawn to that. And then you hang it on the clothesline. And that was one of the first things I did when we moved into a home that we owned. Was Chris put the cement in and we got a clothesline, but I still was sort of overwhelmed moving it from the washing machine to the dryer. I found it much easier if I'm actually just washing everything outside. I have 2 buckets. I have a wringer, which I highly recommend, makes your life so much easier. It's the old-fashioned setup. It's an old-fashioned setup. And the washboard is huge. And then I have a good garden hose that I use that's filtered, and I wash my clothes. And overall, I can spend about 45 minutes start to finish. So I'm not thinking about the machine and did I remember to switch it. And you think about laundry and putting it in this dark machine that's run by electricity that has high magnetic fields and then mold can grow on. This makes so much sense to just do it when you can. And of course, in the winter, I'm sure I won't be doing it as much. Even in Arizona, it gets cold or I have to accommodate the weather. I'm not, I have to do it all outside. I don't feel that way. I'm just saying it's one more thing I've found that is really calming to my brain. And this is the part of the research that I've done that is so astounding. There's a book called Your Brain on Nature, The Science of Nature's Influence on Your Health, Happiness, and Vitality. It's written by a physician and a naturopath. It compiles so many studies showing that what I just described is real, that being outside in nature calms your brain. Not only calms, but benefits. It affects your overall immune system. And there is so much research on something that is inherently, I think, obvious, but the science is there to back this up. For instance, there's one study called View Through a Window May Influence Recovery from Surgery, published in 1984. It found that recovery rates improved if the patients had a view of trees as opposed to a view of a brick wall. They needed less medication. They had quicker recoveries, lower scores for complications. Now, just a view.
I wonder what this would do to relationships. Wonder if marriages of couples who, they say couples who pray together are better off, the longer lasting marriages. I wonder if couples who hike together have the same thing. But we're getting to the end of our program. I got to ask you then, Andrea. So what are your rules? What are your tips? Do you, put sunglasses on when you go outside? Can you wear your headphones? What do you do?
Well, these aren't obviously rules, but these are tips. So I'm glad you asked. And one is, and I don't even wear my glasses or contact lenses anymore, hardly, except when I need them when I'm driving, because I don't need perfect vision when I'm outside. I don't. And so I don't wear sunglasses. There's incredible research from Dr. John Ott, who just had a profound experience in the 1950s that changed the course of his life, and he studied malillumination and what sunglasses do to filter out some of those good parts of the sun, the natural light. So I stopped wearing sunglasses. Obviously, you wear a hat or you stay in the shade, and you accommodate your comfort level or what's smart as far as staring at the sun, noonday sun. But the natural light when you're in the shade, now that's a different deal, or just experiencing unfiltered light. So it is recommended that if you want to spend time outside and experience the benefit of natural light, not to have any type of filter. And the other thing is, just if you can let go of the headphones, try and listen. Listen to the sounds of nature. And the more you connect, the more your brain will benefit from hearing the birds or seeing the small insects. And time will pass differently, and you'll see, from my experience, what can happen.
You've been listening to The Connecting Place, making the connection between health and your environment. Join us again next time for The Connecting Place with Andrea Faber.